Winter 2019, 1 week before Christmas. A 56-year-old man we'll call JR was feeling quite down and a little upset putting away his holiday decorations. He had planned this killer display, but after last week's horrible setback, he saw no point in finishing it anymore and decided to tear it all down. While lifting one of the containers into the overhead storage, JR felt a sudden, strange pain in his chest, a tightening. All the color immediately melted away from his face. The symptoms were undeniable. He'd seen enough of it on TV, and now he was experiencing it real time. The shows were right. It was as someone reached in, grabbed a hold of his heart, and squeezed. Only one thought came to mind. Oh my God, I'm having a heart attack. I'm gonna die. Now to be fair, JR wasn't a doctor, but not even a doctor could have guessed why JR was experiencing these textbook symptoms of a heart attack. And yet, as we'll soon find out, he and his doctor would be totally wrong at guessing the cause. Before we dive in, welcome to JAWjabbers. So glad you're here for a very special post-Christmas Christmas episode. If you follow our community posts, you probably know I caught the Christmas bug over the holidays, so apologies for the late video. Never fear, if you're a fan of medical true crime and medical mysteries, we got you covered. So please offer the like and subscribe button, free samples from the dermatology office, to carefully replace the contents of each packet with homemade organic mayonnaise. Turn on all notifications to be the first to know when we upload next. Today's story is about a man who lost sight of the true meaning of Christmas and was taught a valuable lesson. Every year, JR was beyond excited to put up his holiday decorations, but his excitement came from the wrong place. He did it for the thrill of competing with his next-door neighbor, rather than bringing joy and happiness to others. This year, JR's aspiration to build the ultimate Christmas display flew so high and fell so low that after failing, his heart shrunk 3 sizes and immediately stopped working. How can this be, you ask? Are you for real? Was this in a science magazine? Yes, and why yes. Yes, it was. JR saw life as a big competition. He competed hard to make the most money, to drive the fastest car, and to live in the fanciest house. To those who know JR, it came as no surprise that he saw Christmas decorating as a stage for winter's biggest competition. The bigger the display he built, the greater respect and adulation he could win. Timing was everything though. Decorate too early and you'd appear overeager. Decorate too late and you're playing catch-up or branded the Grinch. There was one person in the neighborhood JR just couldn't beat though. That person was his next-door neighbor, Sam. It was common knowledge that Sam thought of the best concepts and put up the most elaborate decorations every year. People would drive in from miles out of town just to see what Sam had planned. And worst of all, Sam made everything seem so perfect and effortless. Sam was the embodiment of the Christmas spirit and set the bar high for everyone else. JR could hear them chittering now at the local diner, the oohing and awing and stories of how epic last year's display was. There was genuine excitement about what Sam had in store. Certainly, Sam couldn't outdo himself again, could he? All this talk annoyed JR to no end. What about his house? His decorations were just as epic, if not more epic. Why didn't he get any credit? It had to be because Sam was always the first to finish his decorations. Because let's face it, people don't remember second place. This year was going to be different, thought JR. This year, it would be Sam who'd have to settle for silver. To understand JR's big plans, we'd have to go back 3 weeks to the start of December. JR was up on a ladder installing Christmas lights in the wee hours of a frosty Friday morning. Why was he doing this at such an ungodly hour? Well, this year JR had a leg up. A little birdie, his wife, had told him a secret which made him giddy like a schoolboy. You see, JR's wife belonged to the same church group that the pastor's wife headed, and the pastor's wife was a very busy lady. She was planning the Christmas tree lighting ceremony, she was finalizing the mayor's year-end gala, and don't get her started on the soup kitchen dinner she was organizing at St. Agnes. If only you could fully appreciate just how busy was the pastor's wife, you'd easily forgive why she never had time to clean house and why the old pastor kept a special bottle of Jameson up in the cupboard. Maria was a godsend though. Maria lent a hand just when she needed the most, and she wasn't shy in recommending Maria to others in need. One such person was Sam's wife, so Maria ended up housekeeping for both ladies. And when you're keeping house, you tend to overhear things, and news travels fast to a small town. It wouldn't be a surprise if Sam's travel plans became public domain before Sam even knew. Apparently, it was Sam's in-laws' turn to host Thanksgiving, and they were keen on keeping their daughter through the weekend, which meant Sam wouldn't be back till Monday. This was significant because December 1st fell on a Friday, which was perfectly fair game to start decorating. Not too early, not too late. Perfect. So JR took a day off work and planned to do just that, decorate the whole weekend. This was his moment. It was a crispy Friday morning, chillier than what he remembered last year. JR had brought out the ladder first thing and leaned it against the side of the house. He had moved some boxes from the shed to the foot of the ladder earlier, and tucked away carefully in its own custom container was the reef. Next to the reef were the blow-up displays and the air blowers beside that. The nativity scene was in its own bin, as was the new fancy control box he had bought for the lights. He had the outdoor speakers and all its wiring neatly curled up in another bin. JR was excited to set up his symphony of lights and planned an hourly 5-minute light show this year. Starting early allowed him to string up a third of the lights already. The next part was tricky. The eaves came together at a triangle at the highest peak of the roof, which meant he'd have to climb nearly to the top rung of the ladder to reach it, and even then was probably an arm's length short of the hook he was trying to pop the wire onto. JR decided to climb one rung higher and went beyond his comfort zone to gain an extra bit of height. With one hand gripping the ladder, he used his other hand to fling the lights up, but missed the hook. He caught the string on the way down, and he gave the next throw an extra hard thrust, which sent the ladder into a wobble. He instinctively wrapped his arms around the ladder until it stopped shaking. JR was not a fan of heights, never was, but he was so close to finishing he had to push on. He took a minute to summon courage, then slowly straightened his knees to gain some height, then tossed the lights onto the hook. The lights bounced off the side of the wall, and he could tell would fall slightly outside his reach. He swung out his arm to catch the string on its way down, but instead he threw himself off balance, and the ladder with him. He could feel the bottom of the ladder slip in the icy pavement below him. JR tried to hug the ladder once more, but it was no use. The ladder was tipping over and JR fell off the rung and landed feet first. As he fell, he saw white clouds frozen still above him as wind whistled past his ears. The next sound he heard was his legs crunching into the pavement, and then the world went black. JR woke up in the hospital. His wife found him outside after he made a loud wet thud in front of the house. The ambulance rushed him to the emergency room. The doctors there ran tests and imaging. They discovered he had what's called a vertebral compression fracture in his lumbar spine. Compression fractures are small breaks or cracks in the vertebral bones that make up your spinal column. These breaks happen in the thick round body of the vertebra and cause the spine to weaken and collapse on itself. Compression fractures affect your posture and, in essence, your height. The spine curves forward and gives you that hunched back look. The same look you'll notice in Grandpa, who likes to joke he's been shrinking 2 inches every year. The more severe the compression, the shorter you'll become. JR's dream of neighborhood fame came true, but at a great price, and in the worst way possible. He'd become immortalized as the rookie oaf who took a spill hanging lights. Worse yet, JR had to make a tough decision on how he wanted the doctors to treat his fracture. JR wasn't old enough to retire, and not young enough to bounce back from an injury like this. He'd have to entertain more aggressive treatment if he wanted to get back to normal as fast as can be. Meds for pain relief and bone strengthening were good starts, but to correct his posture, he'd have to do something more drastic. The doctor gave him 2 choices: a non-invasive option, like wearing a back brace and letting his body heal naturally, or a more permanent solution, like surgery. As always, the greater the risk, the greater the benefit, but surgery should never be taken lightly. Never, as we've learned in this channel. Given his age, JR had plenty of productive years left, so quality of life was a big deal. JR wanted his mobility back, and the best results came with surgery, so to him, it was worth the risks. JR did finally elect for a simple procedure called balloon kyphoplasty, which was essentially a newer, safer version of vertebroplasty. The doctor broke it down in these simple terms. Basically, he would insert a needle into JR's spine, thread a balloon through the needle, and inflate it to create a cavity inside the broken bone, then fill the balloon with a special material to fill out the gaps in the bone, the same way a general contractor fixes a hole in the wall with gap filler and
and painted over. Kyphoplasty was minimally invasive and needed a small cut in the skin to fit the needle. The procedure would stabilize his spine, reverse the vertebral collapse, and improve his mobility. If all goes well, he could eventually ditch the back brace as well. All this as an outpatient procedure, which meant no hospital stay. He'd be in and out the same day. So JR went ahead with kyphoplasty, and he did well. He was getting stronger every day, and soon he was standing up straight on his own. After a week, everything seemed like it was going well, but instead of finishing his decorations, he decided to tear it all down in a fit of rage and pack it all up. That's when he felt this weird sudden pain in his chest and called out to his wife for help. JR was brought to the hospital for a second time in 3 weeks. On the ambulance ride there, JR joked with his wife that he wasn't sure if he was having a real heart attack or feeling heartache over losing out to Sam. All this obsessing about best decorated house sapped the meaning out of Christmas and put his health in danger instead. Had he turned into the Christmas Grinch? Was this why his heart was dying? The doctors had narrowed it down to 2 possible diagnoses, either a heart attack or a pulmonary embolism, a condition in which a blood clot blocks up the supply of oxygen to the lungs. This would explain his sudden and unexplained shortness of breath and chest pain. Neither diagnosis was a laughing matter though, both were deadly. The doctors decided to bring him in for heart surgery to take a closer look. And now, to their surprise, both of their guesses were wrong. Way wrong. Not even close. What they found blew everyone's mind because it was literally impossible that JR could have survived something like that in his body. It was a medical miracle. Radiographic imaging showed a foreign body in his heart. They had to perform cardiac thoracic surgery to retrieve it. The doctors opened up JR's chest and witnessed in real life this object sticking out of his heart. It poked out through the right atrium and was puncturing his lung. JR didn't have a heart attack. It wasn't a pulmonary embolism either. They called it an intracardiac cement embolism. There was actual cement clogging his heart. That piece of cement that was creating blockage in his heart managed also to spear his lung. As the doctors pulled the string of cement out, they measured it to be 4 inches of cement, or for metric fans, 10.1 centimeters in length and 0.2 centimeters in diameter. The labs analyzed it and determined it was composed of a substance called PMMC, also known as polymethyl methacrylate medical cement. As implausible it might seem, cement embolism is actually a known risk of kyphoplasty. Vertebroplasty has an even higher risk, with 30% chance of cement leakage. Other risks included pulmonary embolism, neurological complications, and allergic reactions. The medical cement the surgeon injected into JR's lumbar fracture leaked into his bloodstream, then migrated up into his heart as it hardened and conformed to the shape of his coronary arteries. And day after day, night after night of pumping, this stringy piece of cement was pushed further into his heart till it crossed through the sac containing his heart into the space that housed his lungs and punctured the right lung. This was the pain that got him checked into the hospital. JR had the cement embolus removed and his heart and lung were repaired. This lucky guy had practically no post-op complications and no breathing issues after this life-saving procedure. And like the Grinch, JR's heart grew 3 sizes that day as he realized the true meaning of Christmas was, use a bigger ladder.
But more importantly, happy holidays everyone. Thanks for joining our new channel. Can't wait for next year when we upload even more videos. In the meantime, please offer the like and subscribe button, free samples from the dermatology office, but remember to replace each packet with homemade organic mayonnaise. Turn on all notifications to be notified when we upload next. Remember to check out our past videos, including the one about America's most prolific serial killer, who happened to be a nurse. Alright, that's it for now. See you in the next video.